All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Another edition of Two Men in Black and White, an honest conversation. Where is the defiance? Where is the fight? How come nobody's fighting back? I mean, the Trumpster is out here doing whatever he wants. He's rolling National Guard troops, 800 troops, into the nation's capital on what he calls a crime emergency. He had Pam Bondi and Janine Perro standing up there spouting off a bunch of nonsense today, and they just look like morons. DC, first of all, DC's too expensive to be a crime ridden area anymore. It's unbelievable that this is happening in broad daylight and nobody's fighting back. And when I say nobody, I'm talking to you, the Democratic Party, because this is an outrage. Joining me now, my partner in crime, Brock Ganeles. Brock, sitting high atop your castle in the Hudson River Valley. I mean, looking down on this, Brock, this is insane. This is insanity. It's another wag the dog tactique, right? Because the Epstein files are hot. Everywhere you look on social media, there is an Epstein meme, video, tweet about just release the freaking files. And they're afraid to do it. And you're right. You said it a couple of weeks ago. The only way we're going to get it is through a leak. Trump pisses off somebody in a position of power and they let it go. That's the only way we're going to get it.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago I was like, oh, Pam Bondi's in trouble for her job. She was never in trouble for her job.
No.
She's Trump's favorite.
Right.
She's protecting him from the Epstein files. She ain't going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And there's no way to get these files out. Trump doesn't want them out. You tell me the mechanism for them coming out. There is none.
Right. There is none. And nobody's fighting for it. Nobody's up in arms. Nobody's shutting down the Capitol. Nobody's shutting down, government business. Why aren't we in the streets yet? Dear America, get your heads out of your freaking smartphones and your, ridiculously important job, whatever that could be, and get to DC and let's shut this shit down. This orange D- student, this clown, this caricature of a human being is ruining the world's greatest democracy. Has ruined it already, not in the process of.
Yeah, he's destroyed it.
Shanked it.
We're gonna have to rebuild it.
Oh my God.
And there'll be more rebuilding to do the more we let him tear it down and burn it down, right? So yeah, it's just so frustrating today. I mean, look, the people of DC were out on the streets. The people made a pretty good showing. Still pretty tame. Like we're still lacking like sort of the fire and anger. Like we're not taking over buildings. Like no one's doing anything that's really disruptive or risky, right? We haven't gotten to that level. But I'm with you on the Democratic Party. I had a good conversation with our frequent guest, Hervé, who hopefully we're going to get on the show next week. And he just made some great points to me today. And after he said them, was like, kind of hit me in the head like a ton of bricks. He's like, the Democratic Party is so bad right now that it's like we're sports guys, right? Losing to a horrible team. That's what this is like. This is like when you fumble 5 times and throw 2 interceptions and lose to just a terrible team because MAGA sucks. They're incompetence, right? Project 2025 guys are pretty good. Mainstream MAGA's morons, but they're still winning every day because the Democratic Party is putting up a terrible fight. They don't have to be good. They just have to show up every day because the Democrats really aren't. It's 2 parties going in different directions. One that wants to be MAGA light with the Alyssa Slotkin message, and that's where Ken Martin, head of the Democratic Party, wants to take the party, and they want to win Iowa by 1 vote and Wisconsin by 2 votes, right? And they're trying to keep, winning those Midwestern states with the diner message, right? Economics, kitchen table shit, and we can't be woke. Even Buttigieg finds himself moving in that direction. That's what the consultants tell him to go. But the energy and the talent in the party is in the progressive side, right? The 2 most talented players in the party are AOC and Jasmine Crockett. By far, they're the 2 stars. And Bernie's the third one, but he's like the aging star, right? Even he knows, his time is coming to an end. He's handed it off to a next generation. But the party will never nominate either of those two as a presidential candidate. I'm not sure. AOC may be too young, but the party's not going to nominate a woman. The party's not going to nominate a person of color because they lost. They're going to play the electability card. They're not allowed. So the most talented players are out there making noise. They have the rank and file behind them. But like you always say, the old guard of the party, fucking Chuck Schumer's and even Pelosi and the like are holding back the energy. And there's nothing. It's a shitty team that's broken apart, that has no cohesive message, no unity. No one's inspired Latinos, even though they're getting fucking thrown in concentration camps. Can you imagine not winning back the Latino vote? And no one's won back black people who are totally still disaffected 7-8 months into Trump, even though he fucking insults them every day with his racism. Yet it's the most easy team to bring together, and no one's doing it.
No one's doing it. Wouldn't, Brock, if you were running things, wouldn't you have said, hey, Jasmine, can you go get the black community back for us? Hey, AOC, can you go get the Latina community for us? And bring who they can? And oh my gosh, if we get an election in 2020, we win hands down. And if we don't, we at least have people willing to fight.
The white people on the left are so afraid of white people on the right and independents in the middle that they won't deliver the policies. If Jasmine Crockett and AOC came back and said, hey, here's what we need to do.
Right.
Like restore DEI. They'd fucking be afraid of it. That's considered too woke.
Right.
Right? Like how about, affirmative action? How about equal opportunities? Right? They wouldn't do it. It's too weak and woke, right?
Yep.
How about, how about supporting transgender rights? Oh, can't do that anymore. Nope. They're thrown off the boat, right? Can't do that.
I don't understand the fear. What is the fear? Why are they so afraid of, I understand the right is insane, but what are they going to do to you?
They think that white person in the Midwest that they keep fighting for, that one voter in Iowa that they think is going to tip all the scales, is, too white and too mainstream. That's too much for them. Too much change. I don't buy it. I don't fucking believe it because 12 years ago that person voted for Obama. Right. I think the problem has been the messengers and the message.
And the message, yep. The lack of message. The message game, we lose every time. And I can't figure out how so many talented people, the James Carvilles of the world, his day is come and gone. But, again, there's no room for any new voices, and that's the problem. The Malcolm Kenyattas, the David Hoggs. Why aren't we listening to these people who have tentacles already in that young voting bloc that we so desperately need? Because remember, that's where the diversity is, right? Our young people now, why
the party, the quote establishment of the party won't come around and endorse Mondani, even though he won the Democratic primary. You're kind of supposed to just fall in line and just give the endorsement, right? But people like Gillibrand, Schumer, even Hakeem Jeffries, right, all holding out, right? They won't come in and support him because he's like too radical, because he wants free bus rides.
I don't know what's keeping them from holding this guy back when all of his policies are so sensible, especially when you talk about living in the tri-state area, right? Everybody can relate to the policies that he's talking about, especially when it comes to rent and the cost of living in those areas. I saw another blurb today about Seattle being one of the most expensive cities in the world.
I bet. Microsoft, Amazon, you get those companies up there and they're like fucking, everyone's making $1 million and it just prices everyone out. And that's why Long Island City didn't want Amazon coming there, right? The prices are already high enough in Queens, and that Queens, that Manhattan area. AOC shut that shit down. Absolutely. She squashed that. She fucking stiff-armed Bezos.
Right.
I'm going to say this might not be for this podcast, but the left has an Israel problem right now. They have a Jewish voters problem right now because they're caught between like Schumer, who thinks it's his job to support Israel. And this is where I get in a lot of heated discussions with my Jewish friends, which is that to me, Netanyahu's like Trump. He's a leader that's taking a country in the wrong direction, and the people have to do something about it. Because you can't just blanket support atrocities, and it's enough already. Like, it's not proportionate response anymore. It's moved into fucking lunacy, right? Similar to how we've let Trump move America into lunacy.
Right.
And on the left, they don't like Mandani because he's, Muslim and anti-Israel, and you get caught in that as being anti-Israel or anti-Israel government make you anti-Semitic and anti-Jewish, and then you get caught in a lot of the big, power brokers and money on the left, and it becomes this shit show. When to me, it's pretty easy to be a supporter of Israel and a supporter of Jewish people, and still say that fucking government is taking the country down a dark, deep hole. Similar to how I feel about America, right? To me, it's very easy. It's the same feeling.
Yep.
And I understand why people around the world would be mad at me as an American citizen that we haven't taken care of our, quote, Trump problem.
Well, right.
Right? People in France are probably like, hey, Americans, how come you're not on the fucking streets? How come you haven't flooded the people in Budapest who got out there on Pride Day, right? Are probably looking at us going, when are you going to fucking flood the streets and like make some shit happen over there?
Right. That's not your Boise is not your nation's capital. What are you protesting out there for? Go to the nation's capital and shut that shit down. Remember, we saw like a third of the population out there in Budapest. I mean, they were out, and we've seen it all over the world with these despots get into these positions of leadership. The citizenry comes out. They come out deep. In America, we're too busy, right? Where's our Navalny? I keep saying it. Where is our Alex Navalny? Where is our leader who is willing to sacrifice everything?
Take risks. Take the risk. I mean, we're kind of like, I'm going to use an inappropriate term here. The American people, we've kind of really been pussies about this whole thing. We've gotten just absolutely bullied by like a total piece of shit. And we're still allowing it day in and day out. And that the rest of the world must be looking at us like, because that's how I look at Israel too. I'm like, hey, Jewish people, but they've been out there, but they haven't made change yet, right? They haven't stayed out there. Like, you got to stay out there till you win, like the people of Ukraine did. Was it 12 years ago now, 15 years ago, when their government went corrupt? That's a phenomenal documentary about the Ukraine.
You saw the documentary?
Yeah, it was from the revolution of 12, 15 years ago.
Right.
When, the boxer who I forgot the two boxers were like at the head of it, but like people died. They were on the streets for weeks to months.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, and those boxers who were multimillionaires, right? The brothers, the Golovkin.
I forget the names. We'll look it up. People know who we're talking about. They were both tall, big, tall, white guys. They were out there on the streets, man. They risking their lives
for their country.
Yeah.
Ready to fight, sacrifice the money, the wealth, all the trappings of success that they had earned. But the country was more important. Their way of life for their countrymen was more important than whatever fucking yacht they could buy or whatever speedboat.
Yeah, because they'd finally tasted freedom and democracy and choice, and they saw it slipping away again because it was a Russian puppet corrupt leader that was in there, and he was like Russifying Ukraine, and so. I mean, Trump is Russifying America, right? We're a kleptocracy, right? And we're just taking it on the chin. We're so fucking soft. It's so soft. Amazing. Not one National Guardsman has refused to show up. Every one of them has just marched and said it's my orders, and has just showed up and done this job of intimidating their fellow citizens for no reason. They know it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Not one of them. No fucking hero. We can't find a fucking hero anywhere.
Nowhere. Not in our military. And I thought our military would at least stand up to these morons. Because look, contrary to popular belief, these military leaders, these generals, these are smart people. A lot of these guys were educated at West Point.
Yeah.
The military academy right around the corner from your house.
Now what?
We understand. They know exactly what's going on And they're not rejecting it. They're not pointing out the fact that these are illegal, or you can't initiate an executive order that says, oh, get 800 troops of the National Guard into Washington, D.C. Let's start arresting homeless people, send them to jail or some homeless shelters so far away they don't know where the fuck they are. There's a reason people are homeless in D.C. because it's so goddamn expensive.
You know, the leader of the opposition right now is Mark Elias.
Yeah. Democracy.
He's doing the most.
Yep.
He's taking the most risk. He's out there every day. He's openly confrontational.
Yep. And if you want more information on what he's doing, because he's got cases going in everywhere, single state against every single infringement upon your voting rights. I don't know if you're aware, but at democracydocket.com, you can keep up with Mark Elias and what he's doing. He frequently appears on Deadline White House to talk about the latest threats that he's getting from the radical right, who are so pissed off that he's winning. He's winning.
Yeah, he's winning because he's on the right side of the law and he's smart, you know. But he's also relentless, right? In his team, right? He's not a one-man band, but like he's the leader of it. He's not particularly dynamic. He's a lawyer, right? Which is fine. He's not political, but he's not a firebrand, right? He's not really someone that can be out front, inspire, and rally a movement. But like he's the COO of the movement, right? Like he's the guy who is getting shit done. He's our pushback to Project 2025, basically. You know, democracy docket. You know, he's that behind the scenes guy. He just doesn't have the leader like the right has Trump. Trump's a maniac, but he's that perfect useful idiot because he could fire up all the MAGA fucking racist crazies and create a movement.
Right. And that's basically what they've done. But thank goodness for Mark Elias, who's not backing down to the threats and the phone calls and the jabs and jeers. Thank goodness for him, because without him, I mean, we would not have had all these different lawsuits fought and won in all these different states involving the last two presidential elections. He's been the guy that's enabled a lot of us to get to the ballot box.
Yeah. I mean, other than him, like the leader right now is Jasmine Crockett.
Right.
And I think I've always said I think AOC is the most talented politician I've seen in decades, maybe since Obama. And like I love Elizabeth Warren. I mean AOC is just so talented, but Jasmine Crockett is more whip smart. And she's even better. Like AOC's great in the congressional halls. She's just great at every aspect of the job. Jasmine Crockett is so good on TV. She's so good in sound bites. She's so good in interviews that she gives you something every day. And she's out there every day, which is why she's the de facto leader. But this Democratic Party won't let her be the leader because a black woman just didn't win the presidency.
Right.
And they're just not going to fall in line behind a black woman right now.
Right.
You know, it's part of the problem because you got to go where the talent is, and you got to go with the person who's like, you know, can stand up and like she can make fun of Trump, she can run circles around him, and she's willing to do it every day.
Right.
Every fucking day.
I mean, they're just like the Cleveland Browns. They got Shedeur Sanders, but they want to play Flacco and Pickett. Pickett gets hurt, right? They want to throw Dylan Gabriel in there. None of those guys are better than Shedeur. And, you know, and no one's coalescing behind Jasmine and AOC because they're not being allowed, which I never thought would happen with Hakeem Jeffries as leader of the House. And, you know, at this point, what's being said in these closed door meetings that they're having? Why did we not hear a Democratic response to the invasion of Washington, D.C. by our own troops?
Yeah, and how is the Democratic Party out saying, not only is this a fucking travesty, not only is this illegal and un-American, but when we get back into power, we're going to give D.C. statehood, and this will never fucking be an option again.
Exactly.
Like, we're pushing D.C. statehood, we're putting this issue to bed, because this is only, and Puerto Rico too, because this is only happening because, you know, there's a loophole, basically, because we've allowed this dynamic to exist where we have this like 750,000 people or whatever the number is, which is bigger than more population than a lot of our states, but because of our fucking gerrymandered Senate, electoral college, racism bullshit that was put in by the founding fathers,
Right.
you know, who didn't even trust the common man, right? So it was all about landowners, right? This archaic fucking system that we have, DC's allowed to get bullied.
Right. With no
Fuck it,
representation
but the
at all.
Dems should just come back even harder, come over the top. Yeah, occupy it now. We come back in power. Not only are we going to unoccupy it and send everyone home, it's going to be the 51st state. Yeah,
51st state,
Puerto
yep.
Rico will be 52nd,
Rico
and then
to
we're going to put this
follow.
shit to bed.
Yep.
Not Canada. Canada's not our 51st state. DC's our fucking 51st state. And why don't they make that a national conversation
Right.
instead of like, you know, who the fuck knows? There is no conversation. It's just like,
No, not coming from the blue side.
no, it's the
got
worst.
nothing.
Worst
They
team
got
in the league.
nothing.
Worst fucking team in the league. Everyone just comes in, you know it's a win. Oh, you're playing the Democratic Party, easy win.
Bro, where are the articles of impeachment? Can somebody draw them up and introduce them, please? I mean, can you do something?
They haven't found one fucking National Guardsman to say like, hey, we're gonna rally behind you. You refuse your duty. Here's a whole written statement that you're going to make on why you're refusing. You call a press conference. We're going to get like 50 people standing behind you. Fanone and Harry Dunn and, you know, a whole bunch of people and Schumer, you know, like, fuck, you know, Schumer, of course, wouldn't show up, but like a whole bunch of people were going to stand behind you. We're going to circle around you. You're going to get legal representation. And we're going to parrot your message, which is conscientious objector. Can't find one fucking person to do that?
It amazes me. It amazes me. Think about all the momentum the blue side had coming out of the January 6th hearings. Remember, we thought that they had done an
Incredible job. It was obvious. Everyone knew it. But
an incredible job.
Merrick
telling that story.
Garland took those tapes, put them on a Betamax,
Right.
right?
And
Filed it in a cabinet, filed in a cabinet somewhere, in an archive somewhere, with like a magic marker, wrote on it like those old things we used to have, right? Like
Right.
game
Right.
tape from like our 1982. And that's where Merrick Garland put it, never to be looked at again, when it was obvious they had basically proven that Trump had inspired a fucking insurrection, and that guy should have been on trial ASAP. Instead, he sat on it so fucking long that it never fucking happened. He got back into power.
Right.
Like, it's a fucking travesty of American history.
Right. And all that momentum went away with it.
Yeah.
Because remember,
Killed it.
after that, he got away with the files.
The files,
Down in
yeah.
Mar-a-Lago.
Everything was
Files
too
in
late.
theater.
There was no time. Delay game, delay game,
Delay.
next election, and now everything's fucking burnt in a bonfire somewhere, right?
Yep. And because we know there's going to be not a shred of evidence from January 6th or from the files or from Trumpstein Gate. All that shit's going bye-bye.
Why aren't Democrats banging the table for the Epstein files? Why aren't they banging the table for conscientious objectors? You know, why aren't we banging the table for DC statehood? Like, there's no fucking message on any of this shit because they're afraid to say it, right? Or too many of them don't believe it. Alyssa Slotkins of the world, you know, like still talking about like whatever, defense budgets or something. You know, like we don't have enough.
And Cory Booker went ham one day. They got a little bit of airplay and then went away. That was it. I mean, he lambasted his own team. Got a little bit of airplay, and then it was back to crazy Trump stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck anyone is on vacation. Like, whoa, fucking vacation. Can't be on fucking vacation now. There's no fucking days off.
Democracy is fucking falling.
Project 2025 is not taking any days off.
No.
Like, so I don't want to hear any of that shit. I don't want to hear about anyone's quality of life. I don't want to hear about anyone who's tired and can't like be back in the fight, recharge the batteries and all that horse shit. Don't want to hear it, right? The fucking Ukraine soldiers on the front line can't be like they need a fucking vacation. There's no fucking vacation when your fucking country is basically under attack.
They got school teachers on the front lines. They got dentists on the front line. They got everybody willing, every male. Remember when that thing started?
Yeah,
They were
everyone.
training every male that could possibly fight got a gun. I mean, it's insane. But see, here in America, we don't have that kind of loyalty to our country. We're so divided, right? Just like we talk about, with me and you, with black folks and white folks, don't even talk to each other. There's black folks that don't even have any white folks in their phone, and white folks the same. We hardly ever cross. We don't cross section at anything except sports. Sports is like where it ends, right? When it comes to the culture, the music, right? It's Taylor Swift and it's, who's hot now? Young Jeezy or Snoop or whoever the, hottest hip hop or R&B act is. And, never the two shall meet. A lot of white kids like hip hop too, so I can't. But, you go to a country music concert, but you're going to be able to count the people of color in there. You go to a hip hop concert, same thing. You'll be able to count the number of white folks in there. Comedians is another thing. Like I like funny people, right? If they're funny, they're funny. I like Eddie Murphy just like I like Bill Burr, right? I mean, these guys are hilarious. I mean, I thought Jeff Foxworthy was hilarious.
Hey, Bill Burr's becoming really aggressive
He
in
is.
his political commentary.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
He's stepping it up. He's stepping it up.
He's anti-oligarch. He's been really like in a
Huge.
pretty straightforward, simple way of like,
Yeah.
why do
He's
you
not
need?
mincing any words. He's not
Yeah.
mincing any words.
I hear you. I mean, Mark, I'm just trying to figure out how to change some of this shit. How does the change happen? How does the integration happen? Like you would think that MAGA, like in essence, destroying our society and the country we are so proud of, right, would bring us together. We have a common topic now to discuss.
Right.
That's bigger than our personal lanes, right? Our
Right.
ethnicities, our races, our colors. You're like, we're losing something you would think would be bigger than all of us. And the fact that hasn't brought a unity yet is shocking, disappointing, surprising, and, at times demoralizing, right?
Right.
Except that I wake up every day pissed off and fired up. So, like, actually, the demoralization doesn't last that long. Partially because, for me, it's like I can't imagine living a lifetime and allowing this absolute piece of shit to ruin my country. Like, I can't imagine losing this battle to that disaster of a human being. And that literally inspires me every day to be like, and I can't relax from it. There's no vacation for me from what's going on around us.
Well, remember, Brock, when we go back to the 80s, we grew up in Metro New York, New York City. We knew this guy was the butt of all jokes. We knew he was a clown in the 80s, right? And to see this, there's not a day that goes by that I don't recall how much of a joke he was. And now they're replaying all the Howard Stern clips where he's talking about his daughter, which is absolutely disgusting. Just makes your stomach churn. It's like, wait a minute, dude, this is your daughter. Like, who talks about their daughter like that? Right? I mean, Howard Stern's calling Ivanka a hot piece of ass and Donald Trump's agreeing with him. Like, who does that about someone's daughter and has their father respond that way?
He was always so weird and creepy, like always been that way. Doesn't even surprise me he's caught up in this Epstein thing, right? Like it's not even a surprise because his public persona basically told you, I'm this kind of guy. Like you didn't know it was maybe to that level, right? But like it's not surprising when it comes out. Like so I'm just inspired by I can't imagine living a lifetime and allowing this fucker to tear down our country. And I'm not like a flag waving guy. I never had a flag outside of my house in my life. Never thought of myself as someone who's particularly patriotic necessarily.
Right.
Like I'm too much of a critic to like just be blindly patriotic. Yeah, I root for our teams in the Olympics, right? Yeah, I'm
All
there.
that.
I'm there every 4 years rooting for our team, right? But now I'm like, I can't let this guy take our country away. Like simple as that. Just like we live too good a life here. Why are we allowing
Yeah.
such an asshole fuck it up with such terrible ideas and terrible, like such a morally lost human being to be the leader of the band? I just can't, can't stand for it. And I just, where's the action? Where's the more people,
You mentioned the Olympics. This fucker ruined the 1980 hockey team for me because he had those guys come up on stage during one of his campaign events with MAGA hats on. I haven't gotten over it yet. And it was just sickening to me. One of the great sports moments in our history, beating Russia, right? So those guys on that 1980 hockey team, Mike Eruzione, and you guys are telling me that you now support Russia? You're a fan of Russia after
yeah,
what that victory meant to both countries and the tension that went on between those two warring factions, right? And remember, Brock, back then, the Russians had professionals playing. They were
yeah,
playing grown
yeah,
men.
that was incredible. It's one of the greatest sporting events of our lifetimes, right? Considered one of the greatest upsets in sports history. Everything about
Exactly.
it. I mean,
And Diaper Dandy spoiled it for us. Diaper Don, right? He crapped all over that memory for us. And, I still haven't gotten over it. I'm still pissed off about it.
yeah,
I
Mark.
can't tell you how many tweets I sent to Boston University where Mike Ruzioni works. Fuck.
You know, there was some talk of the left coming back with like a Project 2029, like a list of policies that they'll do when they get back in. And I don't know if we have to write up a manifesto like the right did. Like, we don't have to mimic their assholery. But,
Right.
I mean, there is no doubt that we should be out there. Like, every action should have a reaction. It's like,
Yep.
not only are we, not going to tear down the Department of Education. We're going to put $1 billion back into it. We're going to eliminate all those vouchers that are actually creating segregation again in our schools. And we're going to put billions of dollars back in the public school system. And we're going to build up our public schools so there's opportunity and education for everyone. How about that fucking message? How hard is that to say? And say that's going to be part of the fucking platform. And talk real policies about what you're going to do when you win shit back. And maybe it'll inspire people to get out there because they'll want that shit. And make it a little more, put some tangible teeth behind it. We don't hear any policy, anything. There should be a pushback policy a day. Not only are we going to restore FEMA, but we're actually going to put technology in so when there's a fucking flood, there's a siren system and everyone's going to know about it within like 15 seconds and we're going to save fucking lives. Not only are we going to put money back into NOAA, but we're actually going to send more balloons up there so we know the hurricanes are coming sooner so that you fucking are even more likely to get to safety to save more lives. We're not going to be idiots and let you die. We're actually going to have policies that are going to like actually save lives and make people's lives better. We don't hear any of that shit. No one's fucking said any of this stuff.
Sad, bro. Sad. All right, bro. Good stuff. Vladimir Klitschko.
Let's go. Oh, the boxer.
Klitschko brothers. Yes, sir. All right, my friend. Good stuff.
All right.
We'll jump off tonight. I'll see you back tomorrow. Same bat channel. Same bat.
All right, Mark. Always a pleasure. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Bye.